America's Cup is one of the world's most prestigious and historic races of all times, where the best and most talented sailors are pitted against each other in extreme flying catamarans that reach speeds up to 50 knots. And now, Swedish Artemis Racing has just one goal: to seize history's oldest sporting trophy, the Old Mug. In the east corner of the Arabian Peninsula we find the country of Oman, a sultanate that shares its western border with Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Yemen. A vast gravel desert plain covers most of central Oman, with stunning mountain ranges along the north coast, facing the beautiful Gulf of Oman, the venue for the first Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series event of the year.
Riktigt häftigt ställe att vara på. Mycket stora skillnader kulturellt, men även på vattnet så är det det är väldigt lätta vindar här och varmt i vattnet och väldigt varmt på land, så det blir ingen riktigt sån stark sjöbris. Vi har haft en liten akklimatiseringsperiod nu på en dryg vecka och idag är det dags att komma igång med seglingen, så det ska bli kul.
Artemis Racing, who won the last event of 2015 in Bermuda, continued that great form into the light winds outside the capital, Muscat, managing to win 2 of the practice races.
It's pretty light here in Oman. The forecast for the weekend has it, nothing over 10 knots, but mostly around the 5 knots. So, it's not really what these boats are designed for. We like them when they're up and foiling and sailing fast.
For a boat this big to fly, it's all about the lift generated by the foils. You have a certain amount of weight you need to support, and using basic aerofoils in the water, if they're the correct area, going the correct speed, you can generate enough lift to get a boat into the air. So it becomes can you go fast enough to get to that takeoff speed to use that foil to get into the air? It's just basically a relationship between the weight, the speed, and the area of the foil. And then there's also some other factors just about the shape of the foil. But basically it's those parameters. And if you can get that blend right, you can make something foil. There's a big comparison with airplanes. All the phrases we're using, takeoff, flying, all those things, it's a big part of it. We are flying above the water. We are using control systems to manage flight. We are flying, in a very low altitude sense.
The flying catamarans made their entry into the America's Cup when Emirates Team New Zealand, before the last event in San Francisco in 2013, found a loophole in the rules that made foiling possible. The results were amazing, and the other teams were quick to follow. Since then, the development within the area of foiling design has been huge.
The benefits of flying, it's pretty cool and good fun. But the main benefit of foiling is a reduced drag once you're up. You can get rid of the wave making and just the general friction drag of the hull in the water, and that allows you the potential of greater speeds, because you then only have the drag of the foils in the water. The trickiest part in foiling is the control. It's faster if you can get the hull out of the water, but if you fly too high and the foil comes out of the water, the foil doesn't generate anywhere near as much lift when it's in air compared to water, so you crash back down. So it's managing that height. And that can be done in a number of different ways, whether it's a control system from a helmsman or a crew member on board controlling the foil by controlling the angle, and that's certainly what you'll see on the ACC class. You'll have the helmsman playing with buttons and managing the rake of the leeward dagger board, or you can have a more stable foil. It will be able to manage its own height better without any control input. But you get rewarded for a bit more instability, is often a bit faster, but it comes at a cost if you can't manage that. So that's the tricky bit, is playing that trade-off.
The hulls of the new America's Cup class boats have to be identical in shape. But when it comes to the design and engineering of the foils and control systems, the rules are flexible and allow for modifications. Artemis Racing, alongside all the other teams, invests a lot of resources into the research and development of this area, in the hope of building the fastest boat in the fleet.
To the untrained eye, the boats will all look very similar. There's one design components, but even the foils, which are very open to us in design sense, they will look quite similar to the casual observer, and it's really a lot of the development will be in the subtleties of things that you can't see, of foil angles, areas and things. That's where the battles are being fought, and we're always in a learning and development phase. I mean, that's often what the Cup is about. It's which team can continue to learn and develop the fastest. So if I was to sit here now and say we're not in that phase, we'd be in trouble. No, we're definitely always in a learning and development phase.
Okay, I'll play the first song I ever learned, House of the Rising Sun. I'm not singing, by the way. I'm one of the classic guys who gets a guitar, learns bits of songs and doesn't quite learn the whole song, and I might have a little sing if no one's around, but it's important to get away from the sailing, so any hobbies you can do to take your mind off the whole thing and get away is a good thing. Okay, I'll be playing a little bit of Red Hot Chili Peppers, Under the Bridge, because it's the only half-decent song I know. Yeah, I've talked with some of the members putting a little band together, but we'll see. I mean, here in Bermuda there's not as many things to do, so maybe an Artemis band could be a good idea. At the beginning we'll hide away and practice, and then we'll see.
The forecast, which promised light conditions, turned out to be right. When the teams launched their boats on the first morning of the competition, it was still unclear whether if it would even be possible to race. The rules require at least 7 knots of wind. On board Artemis Racing, the team seemed to be doubting their form despite good results in the practice races. Artemis Racing, which has its new base in Bermuda, has been putting all of its efforts and time into sailing and developing its new prototype boat Turbo 2. But in Oman and in the World Series, they race in the one design AC45F.
Yeah, obviously the World Series boats are quite different to our development boats, so you kind of show up at these events and you've got to switch your mind completely from foiling upwind, foiling downwind, and now we're sort of more about, you know, the ropes and the strings and the full team effort on board. So, you know, it's a big change, and we are a bit rusty. We haven't really done anything since Bermuda, and so, you know, we just need to make the most of the precious minutes we have before racing here to make sure we're ready.
Perhaps skipper Nathan Outridge felt it already, because it turned out to be a tough weekend for Artemis Racing, being over the line early in 3 out of the 6 races, and on top of that, picking up 2 further penalties during the racing.
And this time it's on Artemis.
Once you get in the front, it makes life easier, but we're always fighting, trying to get back into the race, and you know, everyone was really positive the whole way around the race course, and we were always gaining and making ground, especially upwind. We're going quite fast, but often we just couldn't hold it together until the finishing line, and you know, it is disappointing, but you know, that's sailing. You can't have it go your way every day.
and the tough weekend ended disappointingly. Whilst heading towards the top 3 finish, Artemis Racing got caught on a line whilst rounding the final mark, dropping them to the back of the fleet.
Yeah, we were coming into the top mark, and as we tacked, we got a little close to the mark. Still had a good metre distance on it, but I think because they've been moving the marks around throughout the day, the anchor line was quite long and it hooked our rudder.
Zero's gone.
We had to send a crew member overboard, so Parko jumped over with a knife and tried to cut. It took him about 20 seconds, eventually cut through, and we finished the race with just 4 of us. So, had that not happened, we would have been in a good battle with Ben, chasing 3rd and 4th, and things could have been very different overall, but that's life, and sometimes things don't go your way.
Instead of Artemis Racing, it was Land Rover Bar and skipper Sir Ben Ainsley who won the regatta in Oman, ahead of Oracle Team USA and Emirates Team New Zealand. In the overall series standings, Artemis Racing now lies 4th alongside SoftBank Team Japan. In the next episode of Artemis Racing Road to Bermuda, you will get acquainted with Paul Goodison, one of the British Olympic gold medalists on board the Swedish boat, as well as catch up on all the latest news in the lead up to the 35th America's Cup.